Thank you, Reshma. Now, before we start timing, I just have to say, so every club night, it's always about nerves for me, but I have to thank Karen in the back because tonight, as she talks about being split from end to end, nerves were the last thing on my mind. So thank you, Karen. Maybe this is a trick for me to overcome nerves. All right. So I'm curious for those of you in the room, how many of you have ever asked yourself the question, am I on the right path? Raise your hands. Yeah, all of us, right? And I find this so interesting because I've been working with women across the world from Kenya to Kensington, LA to Dubai, and virtually everyone that I work with has this question. And it's one of those things that I think can really keep us stuck and kind of in doubt and fear a lot longer than it has to when we can't always see that end result right away. But through my own experiences, through navigating a divorce, leaving my corporate job, and starting my own business, I've really come to find that sometimes the direction we need to go in is clear, even if that end result isn't. So tonight I want to share with you 2 sanity points that you can use to kind of check in with yourself to know if you're on the right path or you might need to take a little bit of a detour. So the first one is, you know you're on the right path when you're not putting yourself in the position to betray yourself. Are you following your instincts? Are you setting intentional boundaries? Are you saying no to things that do not serve you? Are you putting yourself in a position to honor and value your worth? So I want to share a quick story for you. When I was 25, I got married. Big mistake. I was very young, very naive, and very shortly after the wedding, I started having suspicions that my husband was having an affair. But the problem was I couldn't prove that. So I just didn't say anything or do anything for way too long. And I think because I was so scared of what the truth might actually be, that instead I just focused on why I wasn't good enough for him. Safe to say now, I was not on the right path there. And it was the ultimate betrayal of myself. But when I found the courage to actually choose a different path, I was amazed at how fast I felt empowered to move in a direction even though the outcome was completely unknown for me at the time. I think what I really learned from that is that we all know deep down, even if we don't want to admit it, when we are betraying ourselves, because the difference is night and day. And number 2, we know we're on the right path when our decisions and actions are not costing us our power. This is really down to energy. You know, do your actions and decisions drain you or do they lift you up? Do you come home at night fulfilled with a sense of hope or excitement, or just feel really good? Or do you feel like you've lost yourself along the way? So I come from this family of really high achievers, and that expectation has always fallen onto me as well, which has been fine. But the problem that I faced through a lot of my life is that I never actually chose to define success for myself. So I just kind of followed in the path of my family footsteps. I jumped into this high-powered corporate career that ultimately sucked my soul dry. And for 15 years, my physical and mental health completely suffered. And I became one of those really annoying people that were really negative and just complaining all the time. And I was holding on to this belief that I couldn't do anything to change it. You know, that was my path. That's what I did. Until the day that I decided to change that belief. And it was amazing. For the first time in over a decade, I started to feel hope around my career that I hadn't felt And it was then that I knew I was on the right path, even though I had no idea at the time what that path would lead to. So I think when we take the time to tune into ourselves and really define this, we can gain that clarity and confidence to move in the direction that we want to, even if it's just one step at a time. So I'd encourage you guys all to trust yourself, trust the process, and trust that the bigger picture will unfold when the timing is right. Thank you.